There's nothing like a leaky sink to drive you crazy. Hey guys, we have a leaky Moen faucet and we're going to replace this cartridge which is in the cold water handle on this Moen faucet. So you can see that it's dripping a little bit. Sometimes it drips a bit more. The water's turned off, but this thing will drip sometimes incessantly for a long time. So we want to replace this cartridge which is inside this handle, and let me show you the steps. First of all, we're going to turn off the cold water. Okay, that's our first step. Turn off the cold water supply, which is underneath our sink. Cold water supply is turned off. Now, I do like to put a towel behind here because there's going to be a little bit of residual water in the faucet, in the fixture. So we're just going to put this towel behind here to keep any water from spilling out. We're going to move the fixture out of the way so you can see this a little better. And so this is the cold water handle that we're working on. First things first, pop this lid off if you can. It's a little tricky. There we go. Got that popped off. Good idea to keep your drain down there just so you don't lose any small parts. This little cap, you're going to want to save that. We're going to need that. Now there's just a little Phillips screw on top of here. We're going to take that off. You could remove this little handle, but it's not necessary, so we're just going to leave it right there in place. So we're going to unscrew this. And once you take that screw off, you can lift that right off. So here you can see our cartridge, okay? And you want to line this up so that the other cartridge is going to go in the same orientation. That way when your handle goes back on, it will be in the same position as well, okay? So you just want to make note of that, how it is on there. And now we're going to remove this locking nut, which holds the cartridge in place. You're going to want to have a small pipe wrench that'll fit in here. Hope to give you access. You're turning that counterclockwise. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure. And you're just going to unscrew that and remove it. Now, here's your cartridge. Again, it's right inside of here like that. What I've found is pretty easy is if you replace this screw back on top of here, it gives you something to grab to pull that cartridge up. Now, there's going to be a little bit of water underneath there. So we have to realize that that's okay. That's why this towel is here. There's going to be a little bit of water in there. A vice grips is handy to pull up with here. You're going to need a decent amount of pressure to wiggle that cartridge and get it to pop up. Okay, because it's really seated in there nice and tight. There we go. Yeah, it takes a lot of effort. You can see there's the extra water that was in there. Not a big deal. That's why we have the towel here. You can see here's our old cartridge. Here's our new cartridge. Okay. You can see there's a lot of rust in this water. It's been in here a long time. Could be just that the O-rings on this older unit are smoothed off, or maybe they're nicked up a little bit or something, and that could be the problem. Either way, it's time for us to replace it with the new cartridge. So again, you're just going to pop it in there in the right orientation again, just like it came off. And there are some little notches in this cartridge which show you where it actually goes. Now, because there's some water in there, it doesn't seat itself very easily, so you're going to have to force it down just a little bit. So let's just see if we can screw it down and get it to lock in, okay? That might be the easiest way, just to have it pull it down securely. We're going to hand tighten this and do it, and now we're going to use our pipe wrench. Take a little bit. And again, you do want to make sure that the handle is oriented in the right direction. So here you can see we're just rotated it just partially so it's in the right spot. And now we just need to have it locked down in that spot. It doesn't take long. It does help to have a small pipe wrench for this operation. Just a couple more turns and we'll have the cartridge seated in place. Again, you can line it up. Make sure it's straight before you lock everything in. And there we go. Should be all set, right? Another turn or so just to make sure it's tight. Again, you're just locking this down. You don't need to over tighten it or damage anything. There is some plastics in here. So now we got it's firmly tightened down. Place the handle over the top. Reattach the Phillips screw that we removed before. I'm going to try to do this left-handed so you can see it better. And then put your cap back on. Now you can turn the water back on and you should be all set. Right now there's no pressure underneath that system. So let's see what happens when we turn our water back on. We do not want to have anything dripping coming out of there. So here goes. Okay, we got our cold water back on. Takes a little bit for the water to flow, but here we go. You can see it's flowing. I'll let it drain out of there. And no more leak. So, ta-da, we have it fixed. We've replaced this cartridge, which is, you can see, is quite old and rusty and pretty nasty. So this one we're going to toss out. And you can find these on Amazon like I did. So like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And follow us even as an Amazon influencer. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon for more DIY videos.